Hey guys, Ginger here. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be doing my end of the year wrap up. So as you can see, there's a giant stack of books behind me, and this is my representation of all of the books that I read this year. You actually can't even see the top of the stack because of how tall my bookshelf is. So nope, it just keeps going on forever. All of the books that are facing outwards are the ones that I own still, and then all of the other ones are ones that I have borrowed or have since gotten rid of. I honestly thought that this year I didn't do well reading wise, but when I started to stack all of these books and destroy my bookshelves, I realized that this is actually a pretty big stack for me, and I think it is the best reading year I've had since I started doing bookish stuff, and I'm so proud of myself, I'm not gonna lie. And I ended up reading 92 books in total, give or take. It's between 92 and 95 because Goodreads is not perfect, but according to Goodreads there's 92, and there might be one or two books missing from that, but that's pretty crazy in my opinion. So yes, there are 92 books here. I'm actually pretty surprised with the numbers that I'm going to be telling you guys. Just can't get over my stack and how beautiful it is. So without further ado, I guess let's just get into the stats. And I'm not going to be going through every single book, but I will at the end show you guys the books that I read in December, specifically because I haven't touched on them yet. So without further ado, let's get into the overview. So most of this is from Goodreads. I got my information from that, so it's not perfect, but it is what we got. Didn't make any like spreadsheets or anything. This is just all data that I got from my Goodreads account. And so, like I said, according to that, I read 92 books and a total of 33,543 pages, which a lot when you think about it. My shortest book was, I believe, 20 pages, and it was a novella, and then my longest book was 823 pages, and that was Winter by Marissa Meyer, closely followed by another 814 page book, which was Eye of the World. My average number of pages for each book was about 350 pages, so most of my books were about that length. And then when you think about it, 92 books is almost 2 books a week, and so that's honestly not bad. I had better months and worse months, but I still ended up with a pretty large number, and I'm pretty happy with that. My average star rating ended up being 3.9 stars, which is kind of high. So I actually did rate a lot of books 4 and 5 stars this year. Most books I didn't rate under a 3, which I think that I need to be a little more critical when reading books. I don't know. We're going to talk more about that in my goals video, but I'm not necessarily upset about this rating, but looking back, I didn't love a huge amount of these books, so I think I could be a little more critical with my star ratings, but oh well. My favorite book, which you can also watch on my favorite books of 2019 video, which I will link in the corner, whichever one it goes in, was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And then my worst book, similarly, there's a video for that, was Of Beast and Beauty by Stacy J. And that was a 1-star book. It was my only 1-star book of the year, but it was a 1-star all the same. My most overhyped book that I read, I think, would be Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. It was just average for me, and I know a lot of people really enjoyed that book. And then one of the books that I thought was pretty underhyped for my level of enjoyment was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I think that that's a great thriller novel, and I think it is one that a lot of people would actually enjoy, even if they're not thriller writers. So I think that that one is a definitely underhyped book. As far as I can tell, my most read genre was fantasy. That is probably closely followed up by thrillers, but it was pretty close. However, looking at the stack, fantasy seems to overwhelm the rest, so that is the most read genre for the year, which I'm not necessarily surprised about, but it was interesting to see when looking at them all. And then I'm just going to break down what each of the books were and some other stats. So 16 of the books that I read were arcs that I received for review, which I actually didn't think that I read that many arcs, but that's actually a pretty big amount, so that's awesome that I received at least that many. And there were actually a couple that I didn't get to this year, so I received, I think, between 20 and 25 arcs this year, and I'm really grateful for that. 23 of the books were borrowed either from my Hoopla library app or from the library, and so there was a mix of audiobooks, ebooks, and library books for the borrowed collection. And then 51 of the books were books that I owned. That does not include my arcs, that's just the other novels. And then 2 books this year I DNF'd, and they're on my Goodreads, but I didn't finish them. And it was weird. They were both witchy novels, so I think that that's something that I have decided I don't actually like. And then of the ones that I owned, I actually unhauled or will be unhauling 25. So that's about half of the books that I read that I owned this year that I'm unhauling. So I have pretty much went through, and if it was 3 or less, I don't think it needs to be on my shelves anymore. So I was really interested to see how many I actually got rid of the ones I read. And I'm actually pretty proud of myself because I don't think I need those books because I'm not going to read them again. And that leaves me a lot more room for new ones that I can't wait to enjoy. So those were my stats for the books overall. And now I'm going to talk about the 6 books that ended up rounding out my year and bringing my total to 92. And I might end up reading 1 or 2 more books the last couple of days of January, the last couple of days of December, but if I do, I will count them towards my January books because I am filming this video a couple days early. I'm honestly not looking forward to putting all of these books away. Oh, I actually DNF'd another book that's not on this pile. But the first book that I had started out with this year was The Innocents by Michael Crumey. I got about 80 pages into that and realized that it was just going to put me in a reading slump, so I set it down. But then the first book that I fully read this month was The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is a winter fantasy novel set in Russia, and it's really fast-paced, really great story and characters, and it's one that I am very excited to continue on in the trilogy, and I'm very glad that I read it, and it was just perfect for the winter season. Then I picked up my arc that came out in December, which was Just Watch Me by Jeff Lindsay, and this one I gave 4 out of 5 stars. It is about a thief who pretty much gets a high from doing heists and stealing things, and in this book we follow him on his most daring heist yet to steal the crown jewels from Iran. And it was a pretty fast-paced, interesting ride. If you liked Six of Crows and you're looking for a thriller book to match that, I think this one would be a good one. Or if you liked, say, Ocean's 8 or Now You See Me, those movies that are a little more about the heist and the stealing, then I think this one would be good for you. And this one is out now. It came out on the 17th, I think. It came out on the 3rd of December. So if you are interested, you can go and get it now. Then I picked up Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. This was a really intense sci-fi thriller that really makes you think and has such an interesting concept. If you haven't picked this one up, even if you aren't necessarily the biggest thriller fanatic, this one is so cool and I definitely recommend it. I have been recommending it to a lot of people after reading it, and it didn't make my favorites of the year list, but it's definitely one that I would have added as a 11th or 12th member of that list. It was really, really great, and I think that you should pick it up. I read 2 more of my arcs that come out in January, and so the first one was a romance novel, and it was You Were There Too by Colleen Oakley. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. It was just average for me. I honestly don't even remember the plot that much right now. Oh yeah. So we have our main character Mia, and she has, you know, perfect life, but she always has dreams about this guy that she's never met before. And one day she sees him in the grocery store and everything in her life just goes upside down. And this one had some tropes in it that I don't really like, which made me give it a 3. And also, I just didn't mesh well with our main character, but the writing style was good. I liked what it did with the romance and whatnot, but then the ending I also didn't really enjoy. This just wasn't a book for me, but I think that other people might enjoy this, so it would still be worth picking up if you are a romance reader and you like romances that make you think and could pull at your heartstrings. And this one comes out on the 7th of January. Then we have Big Lies in a Small Town by Diane Chamberlain. This is a historical fiction novel following our dual perspective of a character in the present and a character in the 40s. Both of them are artists, and the character in present time is pulled out of prison to restore a mural from the character from the 40s, and kind of discover the story of this character and why she painted the mural like she did. And there's a lot of twists and turns. It was a mystery historical fiction, and I enjoyed it for the art aspect as well as the story itself. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. Again, this comes out in January, on the 14th of January. If you are a lover of historical fiction, maybe Ruta Sepetys, or just even mystery novels with a hint of historical fiction, I think that you might be interested in this one. I was hesitant going in. I knew that I liked Diane Chamberlain's writing, but I wasn't sure about the plot. But I did end up enjoying it, so I would definitely recommend it. And then the last one made it onto my worst books of the year list, unfortunately. So if you've seen that video already, you might have seen this. But that is Blanca y Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. Unfortunately, this one just didn't mesh well with me. I didn't really enjoy the writing style or the characters or the plot, despite the fact that the plot, when I heard what it was about, really intrigued me. It just didn't fit with my personality, and what it had going for it was that it was fast to get through, pretty much. So I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. I was more disappointed in it than saying that it was a bad novel. I see how people could enjoy this, but it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. And so, sadly, the last book of the year is not great, but I'm glad that I did get to reading it, and now I know that it wasn't for me. So there you guys have it. That is the end of the year wrap up for me. I'm going to have to put all these books back in their place eventually. I'm not looking forward to that. But I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below how many books you read this year. I would love to know your stats. And again, if you have a video of your own, link it down below and I'll go check it out. But thank you guys again for watching. If you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button to see more of my content in the future. But until that future, I will see you all then. Bye!